Good morning, students. Now I would like to start Economics Lesson 3 Food Security and Nutrition. You know it, food, clothing, and shelter are considered as our basic necessities. But we are giving more importance for food because food gives us energy and stamina to do our day to day activities. Now consider this pandemic situation. We are giving more importance for the nutritious food to prevent diseases and to preserve good health. For example, nowadays we are drinking many kashayams and we are adding ginger, lemon, spinaches and many other nutritious things in our daily food. So, food is any substance that people eat and drink to maintain life and growth. That's the meaning of food. So, in this lesson, we'll talk about how people are getting their food. What is the role of government in maintaining food security of the people? How far we improve the availability of food products in our country? We'll see one by one. First, we'll talk about food security. The United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization defines food security. That is, under UNO, we have an organization called Food and Agriculture, that is FAO. They defined about this food security. That is, food security exists when all people at all times have physical, social, and economic access. That is, if they are fit physically, if they are fit, and socially they are the food are available, and economic, that is the money matter, that to access to sufficient, safe and nutritious food which meets their dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life. Basically, you know it, people need minimum of 2500 calories of food per day. So those who are able to meet their needs, that is called as food security. That is the definition given by UNFAO, Food and Agriculture Organization. Then, according to eminent agricultural scientist Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, that is eminent, a famous agricultural scientist, he belonged to our Tamil Nadu, Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, he defines about nutritious security, that is physical, economic and social access to a balanced diet, safe drinking water, environmental hygiene, primary health care and primary education. So this, according to Swaminathan, here this nutritious security is based on both physical, economic and social. Not only that alone, he adds that drinking water, safe drinking water and environmental hygiene, that is our environment should be clean and tidy, and he is giving more importance for primary health care and primary education. That is basically, you know it, those who got good education, they will much concern about their health and hygiene. So according to Swaminathan, nutrition security, he defines that as based on this safe drinking water, environmental hygiene, health care and education. That is about food security and nutrition security. Now we'll see what are the basic components of food and nutritious security. So here they are giving three basic components, that is availability of food, access and absorption. First one, availability of food, that is physical availability of food stocks in desired quantities, that is what quantity of food substance is available in the country or in a particular place. That's the meaning of availability of food. And here that is based on the domestic production of the country. That is called availability. The next one, access to food. That is primarily a matter of purchasing power and it's therefore closely linked with the capabilities and employment opportunities to earn. Here access to food, that is it is based on the purchasing power, that is ability to buy. ability to buy certain commodities for their dietary needs. So this is influenced by the level of employment and income of the general population. Basically, those who got an employment opportunity, they earn more. According to their income, the purchasing power will differ. So that is the access to food. And last one, absorption of food is the ability to biologically utilize the food consumed. So that is based on the health of the people. That is how our body is accepting. That is according to our health condition. See, for example, if anyone affected with liver problem, they can't eat many because the food won't get digest. So that's the meaning of absorption of food. So these are the three basic components of food and nutritious security: availability of food, access to food, and absorption of food. While we are talking about food security for the people in a country, not only depend on the quantum of food available, that is not only depends on the quantity of what is available, but we want to consider the ability of the people to purchase. This purchasing power depends on level of income. This level of income is influenced by the level of employment opportunities. Then access to food and to stay in appropriate healthy environment, that is along with our basic needs of food, shelter and clothing, that healthy environment is also a basic need. Considering all this factor, after independence, India chose to adopt a planned developmental model. That is, we started to frame 5-year plans, and each 5-year plan deals with each sector. Under that, first 5-year plan with agriculture, second one is with industries, and third one regarding the food grain production, like that. Under that, the recurrent drought experienced by India pushed her to be dependent on imports of food grains. That is recurrent drought, that is frequent drought. Drought means if there is any no rainfall. In Tamil it is called varachi. Frequent droughts occur from 1966 in India, 66, 68, 70, 72, 76, and recent one we faced in 1987. The worst one we are considering as 1987 drought, and later in 2002 also we faced drought in India. And all these conditions made India to depend on imports of food grains, that is to get food grains from other countries. India had to plead for food grains from richer countries at concessional rates. At cheaper rates, we required food from other countries. United States of America extended assistance through its Public Law 480 scheme to India during early 60s. That is, in early 60s when we faced this drought, USA it supported its Public Law 480. They passed Public Law in their assembly, and they render food grains to India at cheaper rates. That is, they send their food packages to India at cheaper rates, and many ships were arrived to India. That is the Public Law of America. When India faces this drought condition, America supported India through its Public Law, and not only this alone. The American administration and philanthropic organizations, that is one who promote the welfare of others, especially through donation of money or donation of something to the other countries. That's the meaning of philanthropic organization. Like Ford Foundation formulated a plan to increase food production in the country by introducing high-yielding varieties of wheat and rice. This program was implemented in select districts where irrigation was assured. That is, wherever we have a proper water supply for the crops, the government introduced high-yielding variety programs of wheat and rice cultivation. And this was sponsored by American administration, Ford Foundation. And to increase the food grain production for India, they supported through their money. That is high yielding variety seeds. Then Thus, Green Revolution was born in the country, paving way for the self-sufficiency in food grain production. So, after introducing high-yielding varieties, so see for example, high-yielding varieties means so each plant will we can able to cultivate more crops. That's the meaning of high yielding. So we can yield more from our food grains. So after introducing this high yielding varieties, we are calling that program in India as Green Revolution. That is Green Revolution means food grain production, and that made our India as a self-sufficiency in food grain. Increased food grain production was made possible by an increase in area cultivated with HYV of rice and wheat, as also an increase in the yield of these major cereal crops. So this green revolution increases self-sufficiency of food production, and not only that alone, we increase the yield of production and increase the area under cultivation. That is, after introducing green revolution, area under food grain cultivation has grown to 122 million hectares in India. That is, in that way, we increase our food grain cultivation. Thus, Green Revolution increases yield of food grains fourfold between the time of independence and at present. That is, at the time of independence, what we produce is increased 4 times at now because of this green revolution. Green revolution, that is use of HYV seeds. And not only for rice and wheat alone, later we increase this to other crops also. Apart from introducing fertilizer responsive high yielding varieties of rice and wheat, it ensured the availability of subsidized chemical fertilizers for farmers. Because you know it, while we are cultivating any crops, we want to use some chemical fertilizers. So in the early days, chemical fertilizers are very costly. So now government introduced that with subsidized fertilizers. Subsidized means at lesser price the government is willing to sell it to the people, and cheaper farm credit, that is the farmers they need of money. So that money is disbursed to farmers through cooperative banks and societies. So that is cooperative banks in rural areas as well as the cooperative societies will render credit facilities at cheaper rate, that is with no interest rate for the farmers to support their agriculture. And here the government introduced minimum support price for the crops, that is minimum support price. So this were announced at the beginning of the season, and the state procured the harvested grains through Food Corporation of India. Whether you heard this Food Corporation of India, FCI? So the FCI had built huge storage godowns and built buffer stocks of food grains during the harvest season to be distributed all through the year. The Food Corporation of India, with the support of God, it is under the control of government. You can see many godowns. So in Palangote, the STC road, while we are going towards Perumalpuram, you can see the Food Corporation of India godown. And same way in the North Bypass also you can see one Food Corporation of India godown. Godown means where we can store the food grains for long term period. Here the government will render minimum support price at the harvesting season. So while people are harvesting this rice and wheat, during that time government will fix a price, and that price will be given to the farmers, and they want to sell everything to the Food Corporation of India, and they will store the food grains for the long term period. So whenever there is a need, they will distribute to the country. That is the meaning of minimum support price. And here we talked about Food Corporation of India, and I used two terms, that is minimum support price and buffer stock. So we will see what is that one by one. we'll talk about minimum support price. Minimum support price is the price fixed by an expert group for a particular crop by considering various costs involved in the cultivation of that crop. So you know it, while we are cultivating any crop, we want to spend lot of money, so they consider the cost involved in it. So the government will fix this expert group and they will consider the cost of production and they will fix. After announcing the MSP, that is minimum support price, the state will open procurement centers in places. So procurement means where they will buy, that is in Tamil kolmudal. Procurement centers in places where these crops are widely grown. See, for example, not in every rural areas. So in each district, government will organize a procurement center. However, the farmers are free to sell in the open market if they get a better price for their crop produce. Suppose if they got higher prices in the open market, if they are willing, they can sell there also. On the other hand, if the open market price is lower than the minimum support price, the farmers would get an assured price by selling their produce to the FCI. That is, government fix the price for that particular crop at the time of harvest. So here, if the farmers are unable to sell in the open market, they can sell their product into the Food Corporation of India and the government will assure them with a credit, that is called as minimum support price. The next concept is about buffer stock. Buffer stock is the stock of food grains, namely wheat and rice, procured by the government through the Food Corporation of India. That is, Food Corporation of India that will buy food grains from the farmers and they will store it. That is, FCI purchases wheat, rice from the farmers in state where there is surplus production. Surplus means where we have huge production. See, for example, think about our rice. In Tamil Nadu, Tanjavur is considered as a rice bowl of Tamil Nadu. So there we have surplus production. So this Food Corporation of India will purchase wheat and rice from the farmers directly and they will store in the FCI godowns. That's the meaning of buffer stock. Buffer stock is done to distribute food grains in the deficit areas and among the poorer strata of the society at a price lower than the market price, also known as issue price. That is, buffer stock is they will distribute the food grains in the deficit areas where we have less availability, there they will distribute these things, and not only that alone, in the poorer strata of the society at a price lower than market price. That is, under our public distribution system, that is through the ration shops, the FCI they'll send rice to the poorer people in the state. So that is the meaning of issue prices. This also helps resolve the problem of shortage of food during adverse weather conditions or during the periods of calamity. So here calamity, whether that if there is any flood or drought occurs, they will store it for many years together. So they can use it from the buffer stock. Whether you understood this one, buffer stock. That is, food grain products are stored by FCI godowns under the control of Government of India. That's the meaning of buffer stock. With the help of high-yielding variety of seeds, we increased the food grain production, and that was accompanied by appropriate technological interventions in the dairy, poultry and fisheries sector. So we started using technical skills in the field of agriculture. Well, in that we started to increase the quantity of production as well as the area of cultivation in agriculture land, and not only that alone, so we started to increase in the dairy and poultry and fishery sector also. So dairy means milk products, poultry and fisheries. So you know it, all these three that comes under our same agriculture sector. Even though we increase certain things, India could not succeed in attaining self-sufficiency in the production of pulses and oilseeds. So therefore, India depends on imports to meet the requirements of people. So we are unable to attain self-sufficiency in the production of pulses and oilseeds. So we are depending from other countries. That's the meaning of importing from other countries to satisfy the needs of our people. So considering this self-sufficiency, so from the beginning, so after independence we started to develop our economy, but still we are lacking in self-sufficiency. So this may be due to our increase in population as well as decrease in level of income of the people. So that's the reason behind this. So far we talk about availability and access to food grains. So first, in the beginning in 1960, the United States of America, they extend their assistance through Public Law 480. With that, they send lot of food grains to India to meet our needs during our drought. Then a Ford Foundation, that is an American administration and philanthropic organization, they sent our high yielding variety of seeds to India. With that, we started our green revolution and we increased our production. And not only that alone, the government of India, it rendered cheaper credits as well as chemical fertilizers to the farmers to increase the production. Here we talked about Food Corporation of India with minimum support price and buffer stock. So that is about availability, access to food grains. The next we'll move on into public distribution system. Public distribution system. Tamil Nadu has adopted an universal public distribution system, and the rest of states in India had a targeted PDS. So here in Tamil Nadu we are following universal. So universal means for everyone. Under universal PDS, all the family ration card holders are entitled to the supplies from PDS. So here universal means all the family members in the Tamil Nadu, in the state of Tamil Nadu, they'll get ration cards. So PDS means here they'll get ration card. So all that ration card holders entitled to the supplies from PDS. But in the targeted PDS, the beneficiaries are identified based on certain criteria and given their entitlements, leaving out the rest. So here, that is in other states under the targeted system, here they'll consider the level of income of the people. So accordingly, they'll distribute certain commodities under the ration shops. But in Tamil Nadu, we are following universal. Both the union and the state government subsidize the supplies distributed through PDS. So here, with the support of both central government and state government, here in the public distribution system, they will sell the product at a subsidized rate, that is a cheaper rate. The level and quantum of subsidy also varied across the states. So the quantum is the quantity of the product, and subsidy rate will also differ from state to state in our country under public distribution system. So in Tamil Nadu we are following universal public distribution system. The government of India under the public distribution system, they will distribute food grains to the people to all over our country, both in rural and urban areas. To assure the supply of food grain production, the National Food Security Act was passed by the Indian Parliament in 2013. So in 2013, an act was passed in Parliament regarding National Food Security Act. So under that act, it covers 50% of urban households. Urban means city areas, and 75% of rural households. Rural means in village areas. So under that, they guarantee the supply. These households are known as priority households identified based on a set of criteria. So priority means giving a chance to them. Under this priority, households of the country now have the right to food supply through PDS. So they have the right to get food products from the PDS system. Here, Tamil Nadu continues to have the universal system of PDS and supplies rice at free of cost to all card holders. So in Tamil Nadu, government is supplying rice at free of cost to the ration card holders, especially the rice ration card holders. So that is about our Tamil Nadu. But in other state, they'll fix the lower price of either 2 rupees or 3 rupees or 1 rupee per kg. Anyway, according to National Food Security Act, especially in rural areas, they must, that is the government must distribute food grains to the people. In Tamil Nadu, November 1st, 2016, in the Tamil Nadu Assembly, we implemented National Food Security Act. Actually, in 2013, we initiated an act in national level, that is National Food Security Act throughout our India in 2013. But in Tamil Nadu, we introduced that act in November 1st, 2016. So, under that, we are providing a free of cost of rice to the ration card holders. That is about public distribution system. We'll talk about role of consumer cooperatives in food security. Consumer cooperatives play an important role in the supply of quality goods at responsible rates to common people. So here under this consumer cooperatives, so cooperatives in Tamil Kooturavu Sangha, under that they'll supply a quality goods to the common people. There is a 3-tier structure of consumer cooperative societies in India. They are primary consumer cooperative societies, central consumer cooperative stores, and state level consumer federation. So we have three-tier structure means there are 3 types of consumer cooperatives. One is primary consumer cooperative, second central consumer, and third one state level consumer federation. So here under this, here the consumer cooperatives, they play an important role in the supply of quality products to the people both in rural and urban areas, especially the basic necessities like our rice, wheat, oil, sugar, etc. like that. More than 50,000 village level societies are engaged in the distribution of consumer goods in rural areas. This scheme is playing an important role in food security in India because we want to consider the villages. So under that, Government of India is giving more importance for the development of villages. So for that, so totally we have more than 50,000 societies are there in the village area for the distribution of consumer goods. This scheme is playing important role for the food security. That is, out of all fair price shops running in Tamil Nadu, here fair price shops, that is ration shops, and Tamil it may be called as Nyaya Vilai Kadai, around in Tamil Nadu, 94% are being run by cooperative societies. So 94% are run by cooperatives. Remaining 6 is under the control of Tamil Nadu Civil Supplies Corporation, TUCS. We have like that. So while we are visiting a ration shop, you can see it whether it is a consumer cooperative society or under the control of government. That you can see it. Then you can check your ration card also. So nowadays we are using a smart ration card. You check whether you have rice card or sugar card like that. So you can understand certain things while you are seeing your own ration card. So far in today's class we discussed about food security, the definition given by FAO, that is Food and Agriculture Organization, and then we talked about Dr. Swaminathan's definition for food security, and then we talked about three components, that is availability of food, access to food, and absorption of food. These are the three components of food and nutrition security. Then we talked about availability and access to food grains. There we discussed about our green revolution and minimum support price, buffer stock, then role of FCI, Food Corporation of India. Then we talked about public distribution system and role of consumer cooperative societies assuring the food security. Basically, India as a developing country, many people are living in a low standard, under that poor many people are considered as poor, so the government must give importance for the distribution of food products to the poor people. So in that way, government, both central government and state government, is giving more importance for this food security of the people in the state as well as in the country. That's all. Thank you, ma.